A woman appears looking into the camera.
Hello, Michael. It's a
Hi,
pleasure.
Dr. Glenn.
An avatar image of Michael stands in a room filled with walls of books and tables and chairs. He waves.
Pleasure to see you, as always. And I do want to thank you and all the people at UWG Live for all the work that you've done in the last 6 years, helping our grant-funded project and the RSA Innovative Training Grant make a real difference and start to introduce something that was relatively new to all of us when we got started with this 6 years ago. I've asked you to come on so you can tell other people a lot more about what it means to work with UWG Live, the kind of work that you do, and what y'all have learned through the years works most effectively, particularly as it relates to some of the other immersive technologies, but also what immersion has done so far as well. How about that?
Sure, Dr. Glenn. Yes, I'd love to speak to that. And thank you so much for having us, be a part of this journey with you all over the past 6 years. Yes, the virtual sim lab that we offer at UWG Live is an incredible learning opportunity for any sector in employment, anywhere in the workspace where you need to have sensitive, delicate conversations that could use practice. And what's so wonderful about our program is that it is an avatar-based system, as you see, but what confuses a lot of people is that I'm actually a real person. There are many programs similar to ours that are currently in development that are more AI driven, but we really value at UWG Live a human in the loop system where the avatar is simply providing a layer of anonymity for your interactor, and it also allows them to portray a greater variety of people and different circumstances. But the wonderful thing about our program is simply the opportunity that it creates for your learners to have difficult conversations in a safe environment where they are free to fail, where they can pause the simulation at any time and seek feedback from their facilitators, from their peers, and then they can immediately jump right back into the conversation and see how things progress or develop. The other wonderful thing about our program is that it's incredibly intuitive and approachable for facilitators. You may assume, looking at a digital avatar like myself, that, oh, this must be very complicated to activate or to run on the facilitator side, but it actually isn't at all. If you have just a basic familiarity with the Zoom platform, you can easily use our program and add it to whatever training regiment you already have.
That's great. And is exactly
Yes.
what has made it such a difference for us because we have counselors that we've been training. And there's a lot of academic programs out there doing mental health counseling, addictions counseling, rehab counseling, all sorts of things that could really benefit from a number of having an opportunity for their students to practice before they go out into the real world. And
Yes,
because when you're a counselor, you don't exactly want to mess up. You want to be a lot more
exactly.
effective when you go into it. I've had a number of students talk about the fact that, who have done the work that you do with
Hmm.
us. I've asked them what was the difference between this and regular role playing in the classroom. And they're like, there's no, that there's a huge difference. There's the ability to be connected to somebody who looks like the type of person that you're working with, whether it's a 15
Yes,
kid or a 60-year-old woman. And that it just, when they're role playing and they're looking at somebody who's like 25 years old, who's trying to
yes,
be a 40-year-old, it just, they're like, it just, that's the dissonance with it all.
yes.
Yeah.
The traditional role play can be helpful, but the problem that you'll run into, especially if you're role playing with your peers, is that you're very hesitant to actually push and challenge one another. Whereas if they're interacting with an avatar, they have no familiarity with me and they have no idea what the avatar might say next. But peer-to-peer role playing can definitely be very, very limiting.
Mhm. I've also asked them about how much progress they think that just a 10-minute interaction with you. Now, for anybody who's watching this, when we've set this up with UWG Live, there were oftentimes four, maybe five students who
Yes.
took 10-minute, 12-minute turns interacting with whoever, whether it was the kids that we have as part of the pre-ETS program or somebody older like an employer, um,
Mhm.
that that little amount of time, while it's shorter than sometimes you get when you're doing role playing, it seems to have a major effect. What do you think that's all about? I
I
mean, 12
think
minutes is fast.
that
Hmm.
I think that the secret of this program is not only the interaction that you're having with the avatars, and as you just said, it may only be 5 or 6 minutes,
Hmm.
but the real value in this comes from the reflective piece, from getting the immediate feedback from your peers or from your facilitator, and I think that's what can make these interactions, even in a short amount of time, so incredibly powerful.
It does. And even the feedback you get from your fellow students and the instructor being able to sit back, observe, and reflect.
Hmm.
And then you've got three other or four other people, or maybe eight other, because we've had it where we had two sections set up
Yes.
where somebody did the first session and then they did a second session, and we had four people interacting, four people observing, and then we flipped them. So everybody got a chance
Yes.
to do it. And it was much more effective than I thought it would be, honestly, when we tried it. That was the beauty of our training grant is we got to innovate, we got to try things out. And just observing what somebody else is doing makes a big difference as well. Yeah.
100%. Yes.
Yeah. Where do you see all of this going in the future? Do you think the human in the loop? I know has got to stay in with this. That's for sure.
Yes, I certainly hope it does. And I will simply offer to anyone out there who may be considering an AI-driven version of this, those models are still incredibly early in development, despite the sort of promises that we're all hearing from AI tech leaders. They're still incredibly stiff, very robotic. The responses that they offer to learners are within a very narrow scope, and it doesn't reflect the realism or the variety that a real conversation with a live avatar like myself can offer. And I will also say that these AI models are still very largely input output based, and they are very hesitant to actually challenge the learner or interrupt the learner with a new question or concern, which is something that a human in the loop system has no trouble with at all.
We actually tried out the AI avatar and have done some developmental work just with one avatar. And while it was okay, the things that the delay in response,
Hmm.
and you really had to work over time. It was like you couldn't just set them up. They had to keep working over and over and learning and learning and learning, which all of us have
Exactly.
been doing too. But there is a difference. There really is. I can see it. Yeah.
It's being presented as a way to sort of cut down on costs, and it does from one perspective, but when you consider how much development has to go into training an AI avatar to do one thing slightly differently, then the costs very much add up, and human in the loop is suddenly much cheaper.
It is. It really is in many ways for the environment in general. So,
Yes.
yeah. All right. Well, is there anything more you would like to tell the people who are listening to us right now or watching this?
No, I simply would add that you asked where do I see this going,
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's a great question. I would say that we are still finding new applications for this program all the time. We're always picking up new clients, and we're always adding to our library of simulations. We have over 125 different simulations, and like I
Wow.
said, we're always adding to that. Yes,
Y'all have done a lot over the last few years. I just
we
thought
have.
we've been paying attention to ourselves and not everything else that's going on. It is amazing. It is amazing work. And you've been in conferences with me where we were talking to people, and I the people's reaction were interesting, and a lot of it depends on age and where you are in the world of technology. Take it from me.
Hmm.
Um, and hopefully we opened up a lot of people's of eyes that they could just do so much. I was even thinking about, if you're working with counselors who are working with somebody who may want to interact to learn how to, maybe somebody who's um, had some trauma or something like that, and they want to learn
Yes,
how to interact with somebody else in a environment. It doesn't have to be us training the counselors. It could be training the counselors to use these kind of things in their work as they can.
absolutely. No, we have worked with some clients who simply want an avatar to practice basic social skills
Huh.
and, to catch up, practice with small talk, which as niche of a concern as that may sound, for some people, um, that practice is really useful to
Mhm.
helping them improve their personal relationships. So yes, it's a very exciting time for this technology, and I hope we really see it take off in future years, especially if the human in the loop systems are able to outlast what's coming with AI, and I think they will.
I think they will too. I really do. All right. Well, thank you again, Michael, so much. And we're looking forward to talking to the students. All
That sounds great.
right.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Dr. Glenn.
Michael waves.